So with Philadelphia Eagles mandatory minicamp getting underway on Tuesday and running all the way through Thursday, coming up here on Eagles Now, the biggest storylines, roster battles, news, rumors, analysis going into minicamp, the biggest things to watch out for. First, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We will be going live on Wednesday for a live minicamp live show, just passing along live updates as the Eagles practice at the NovaCare Complex. We're closing in on 76,000 subscribers, so if you want Eagles content and coverage every single day, hit that sub button. Story number one, does cornerback James Bradberry report to practice? He did not partake in either of the OTA sessions last week or the week before that, and now that it's post-June 1, Philadelphia can cut him, even though they would save no money on the cap for 2024. If they do cut him, Philadelphia has the opportunity to spread out the remaining money on his contract. They would also have to eat about $3 million this year. Zach Berman of PHLY, formerly of The Athletic, before that Philadelphia Inquirer, did tweet out that James Bradberry is expected to be on hand, but we will certainly see what happens on Tuesday. And sticking in the secondary, what does the secondary lineup look like? Eagles OTAs week 1, the starting corners on the first team defense, Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers on the outside, with Avonte Maddox on the inside. Eagles OTAs secondary lineup week 2 at the cornerback position. Isaiah Rodgers, Kelee, Ringo on the outside with Tyler Hall in the slot. Quinyon, Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean have been running with the second-team defense. That's expected. They're recently drafted pros. They're trying to master Vic Fangio's defense. You want to let them get their feet wet and understand the nuances, the physicality, the speed, the playbook of the NFL level. Mitchell's been on the outside with that second team. DeJean at nickel. But what's very, very interesting is that during OTAs last week, at the end of practice, DeJean did get first-team reps at the slot. That is a very fascinating storyline to kind of monitor here throughout this offseason in these 3 minicamp practices, and then the Eagles as a team will not meet until training camp at the end of July. I have said that with DeJean being a playmaker, maybe not being as twitchy to play on the outside, even though we primarily did that to a high level at Iowa, I think that he could be an excellent player in the slot. Still an awesome athlete, 4.4 runner, very athletic with burst. He can jump, he can leap, has some of that short area quickness, is a big-time player, had 7 interceptions at Iowa, 3 went back for touchdowns. He's also a punt returner too. I just think that if you use him in the slot, it makes you better in the secondary because you have some quality players on the outside. Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, Kelee, Ringo, and you find a way to have DeJean on the field as a rookie because he's a playmaker. He's capable of being on the outside, but on the inside, you can kind of use him as that Swiss Army knife. I think Avonte Maddox has been improving his versatility and playing nickel and safety. And the Eagles here, as we've talked about on the show, deep at the cornerback position. In this pass-laden era, that's a great problem to have. So can Isaiah Rodgers continue to shine also on top of this cornerback conversation? Will he continue to get first-team reps? He was awesome during OTAs. Had the pick 6 of Jalen Hurts, making plays on the football. And if he continues to play really well, do you risk taking him out of the starting lineup? And then going back to James Bradberry, where does he factor in? Does he even play? Because I might prioritize getting the younger players reps in Eli Ricks and in Kelee Ringo to see what they can do in trying to streamline their development. How does wide receiver 3 shake out? Eagles are light as far as wide receiver depth goes after A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So he gets the primary wide receiver 3 snaps out of the slot. Another alteration for Kellen Moore's offense, you can move Devontae Smith into the slot. Eagles have done that his first 3 years in the NFL, and then somebody else mans the outside. Paris Campbell, John Ross, they have a lot of speed. They've been so injured. Can Anaya Smith come back from that stress fracture? Does Johnny Wilson earn some snaps? Britton Covey, Joseph Nagata, those are the other wide receivers in the mix. To the defensive side of the football, who will the off-ball starting linebackers be? Week 2 of OTAs after Nakobe Dean came back from the foot injuries. It was Devin White, Nakobe Dean. I think those are your two top starters as the inside off-ball coverage linebackers. Will it continue to be the starting twosome? And how will Zach Bond enter the fold? A player who's made some big plays throughout OTAs and has garnered the recognition from defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. Next up, can this be a breakout year for Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter? It's time to put up or shut up for Jordan Davis. Former first-round pick going into year 3. After this year, the Eagles will have to determine whether or not they want to exercise his fifth-year option. He said he's lost 20 pounds. He understands he has to work on the stamina and his ability to be on the field more, be on the field longer, and not get as winded as easy. Clint Hurt is the new Eagles defensive line coach, and he said when Jordan Davis is in shape, he's unblockable. Jalen Carter, on the other hand, said the biggest thing he worked on this offseason, conditioning. Not technique, conditioning. So the two young players know that's what's holding them back from taking that next stride. And as a young player, it's good to have that thought process and that recognition. If you're pumped up for Eagles minicamp, meaning we can continue to talk about some Eagles football, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. More big storylines, more big position battles, more big burning questions coming up here just around the corner. But the deal on this brotherly shove shirt is phenomenal. You have the formation, which is great. Jalen Hurts going right behind the center. You got the old school Eagles logo. I purchased these myself. And I got some for some of my homies as well. Why? Because they're on sale for just $22. An absolute steal. Head to chatsports.com/brotherly shove. Going to put that link down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of this video. If you want to get these shirts, limited time only, they are dope. Let's move forward. How will Vic Fangio use his edge rushers, and how often will they drop back in coverage? Of course, he's going to have his edge rushers pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. On top of that, though, Vic Fangio does not call a ton of blitzes, and that might rub some Eagles fans the wrong way because we're an aggressive city. We like to get after it, turn up the pressure, but sometimes he relies on the front to get home with the secondary playing some of that press man. But he is going to ask his edge rushers to drop back in coverage, and how comfortable are the players doing that, and what is their role, especially a guy like Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, traditional 4-3 edge rushers. How can Nolan Smith kind of handle those duties? And of course, we get a look at the free agent, big ticket signing in Bryce Huff. Kellen Moore's offense. Give me some motions. Give me some shifts. Give me the creativity, because last year we didn't see that. And in turn, this Eagles offense was so predictable. They were 32nd among 32 teams in pre-snap motion. It makes no sense to do that nowadays. Nick Sirianni, your offense, we crumbled it up, we stepped on it, we threw it in the trash can. Kellen Moore now comes to Philadelphia, and he's going to utilize a lot of motions, a lot of shifts, a lot of creativity, different personnel packages. And now, as we get to see some 11-on-11s during minicamp, we get to see that offense and some of the bread and butter elements of it. Backup tight end position behind Dallas Goedert. It's a competition. Grant Calcaterra, Albert Okwuegbunam. Those are two young players who I like for a couple of reasons, right? Albert Okwuegbunam is a player who's 6'6", 250, so gifted. He can't block, but he's a very gifted pass catcher. And then you have a player in Grant Calcaterra who medically retired from football a few years ago and then came back, and he too, a really good athlete. Both of them have been seldom used. And then you have CJ Uzomah, who is that kind of backup blocking type of tight end who could catch the football at least a little bit, but he's certainly a bigger body there. Jalen Hurts throughout OTAs did throw some picks. He was trying to get aggressive and throw the football into some tight windows during practices. Sometimes you will take risks that you will not take in the game. The one-on-one connection between Hurts and A.J. Brown, unstoppable during OTAs. On the field, at the NFL level, unstoppable. I get that Jalen Hurts is learning a new offense, but if the turnovers continue, that's a little bit problematic. within Kellen Moore's offense, what is the utilization going to be of running back Saquon Barkley? I hope they find a bevy of ways to get creative and find ways to get him the football. Out of the slot, wheel routes, screen passes, running back draws, Jalen Hurts under center, pound the rock with physicality, get him out to the outside. Find ways to utilize your special playmaker. At the safety position, will C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship continue to play well? And if they do, Howie Roseman won't be pressured into making an external move at the safety position. If they struggle looking ahead to training camp, that's where they could look at the free agency market, Justin Simmons, Quandre Diggs, Eddie Jackson, players like that, to at least add depth. Sidney Brown continues to recover from that torn ACL. So those are my biggest questions, biggest storylines. I'll be watching from Eagles mandatory minicamp. If you're still hanging out with us here at the end of the show, boo, boo, give me a real one and go Birds.